This is the July 14, 2014 meeting of the Revere City Council. Please rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Rigo is absent. Councilor Gino? Here. Here. Councilor Guanasso?
Here.
Here. Councilor Haas? Here. Here. Councilor Morabito?
Here.
Here. Councilor Novoselsky? Here. Councilor Patch? Here. Councilor Penta?
Here.
Here. Councilor Powers? Here. Councilor Reardon?
Here.
Here. And Council President Zambuto?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the meetings of June 23rd and June 30th, 2014.
So moved.
Any corrections? All in favor, all opposed?
Calendar item number 1, joint utility meeting with Comcast, National Grid, and Verizon to discuss double poles and potholes.
Mr. President, can we suspend the rules and take up the various public hearings we had?
On suspension, all in favor, all opposed?
Mr. President, I'd like to ask that the council rise in a moment of silence for a former resident of the city of Revere, Neil Espazio, who resided on Janvin Avenue. Neil was a member of the school committee during the 50s and 60s. He was a graduate of MIT, West Point, and served his country during the Korean and Vietnam conflicts. And our condolences certainly go out to his wife Audrey, his daughter Lillian, his son Michael, and his brother Ralph. Thank you, Mr. President.
Madam Clerk, we're going to take up the committee reports.
Calendar item number 2, report of the zoning subcommittee.
Chairman Reardon.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This afternoon, the zoning subcommittee met and we reviewed 3 separate applications. First of which was C-14-05, which is a petition from 4 Kids Only After School, 194 Essex Street, Salem, Massachusetts, seeking permission from the Revere City Council to raise and reconstruct a non-conforming structure for the operation of an after-school program in the GB District, 85 Broadway, Revere, Massachusetts. The subcommittee did not offer any endorsement or otherwise on this matter. We put it before you. I think it is ready for a vote at this point. I think most people, most of the councilors are aware of the situation at this point.
Madam Clerk, on the roll.
Shall the City Council grant the relief requested on the application of 4 Kids Only After School, Inc. for 85 Broadway, subject to the findings and conditions of site plan review? Councilor Rigo is absent. Councilor Gino? Yes. Yes. Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas? Yes. Yes. Councilor Morabito?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Penta?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Reardon?
No.
No. And Council President Zambuto?
Yes.
Yes, the relief requested has been granted subject to the findings and conditions of site plan review.
Mr. President, while we're under suspension, take reconsideration. I'll prevail.
On reconsideration, it will not prevail. In favor, all opposed?
Mr. President, the next matter before the zoning subcommittee was application C-14-07, application by Rachel Ferranti, 19 Overlook Ridge Terrace, Unit 305, Revere, Massachusetts, seeking permission to alter a pre-existing non-conforming use for the purpose of operating a dance studio within the RB district at 225 Beach Street in Revere. The matter was fully considered before the zoning subcommittee this evening, and I believe that it is ready for a vote this evening before the full City Council.
Shall the City Council grant the relief requested on the application of Rachel Ferranti for 225 Beach Street. Counselor Rigo is absent. Counselor Gino?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Morabito?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Penta?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Reardon?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. The relief requested has been granted.
Immediate reconsideration.
On the reconsideration, it will not prevail. All in favor, all opposed? So voted.
And lastly, Mr. President, the zoning subcommittee reviewed application CZ-14-01, application for Wakefield Associates, Inc., 544 Salem Street in Wakefield, and 770 Washington Ave, LLC, 1306 Lewis O'Gray Drive, Saugus, requesting an amendment to the City of Revere zoning map as described in the petitioner's plan. Very briefly, it was a petition to change from residential zoning a small portion of several parcels off of Washington Avenue and insert them into the zoning map as general business in order to accommodate a 18-unit condominium development with a retail component below. The matter was actually brought to a vote for recommendation, and it was voted out unanimously for approval to the full City Council. And then once again, this matter is ready for a vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a little different vote. To move to the second reading, all in favor, all opposed? So voted. Third and final reading, all in favor, all opposed? On engrossment and ordainment. Roll call.
Counselor Rigo is absent. Counselor Gino?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Morabito?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Novoselsky? Yes. Counselor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Penta?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Reardon?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. The zoning map amendment is engrossed and ordained.
On the hopes that it will not prevail, all in favor, all opposed? Back to the regular order of business.
Calendar item number 1, joint utility meeting with Comcast, National Grid, and Verizon to discuss double poles and potholes.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, we only had one tie, though, and we let Dan wear it today. Yeah. That works for me.
Casual Monday here. Okay. Stanley.
Mr. President, members of the council, we've had a busy summer, as you can well imagine. Not necessarily on pole removals, but pole placements and work in the city of Revere. We've worked very closely with our counterparts on the Hill School, moving poles and making adjustments so that that school can meet its schedule. In terms of the overall view of the city, Verizon will be undertaking a survey at some point of all the poles in Revere, making sure that the accuracy of the database is clear. That will probably take place sometime in late fall. So what you'll be looking at will be a more accurate database at that time. But prior to that, we expect that there'll be transfers made as well. We'll take any questions you might have.
Thank you. I think, do we want to hear from everybody, then ask questions, or how do you want to do this? Ask questions of each one? Okay. Councilor Guanasso.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had the opportunity to speak to Simon this afternoon, one of the project engineers for the Hill School, and he wants to talk with Dan, namely in reference to some of the action over there. And he said he's already received some of your help previously, and he's anticipating more to make sure that the school goes on board quickly. The other thing being is, do we, this is for Dan, I think also, again, it's in reference to street lights out. I know I mentioned it several times before, that we used to have a program whereas National Grid would go about the community in the evening, see a street light out, and then automatically fix it. But we've had a couple of street lights out, namely on Revere Street, which is a major street in our community, and it takes days and days for someone to just put a street light in. Is that crew no longer in existence? Or do we have to call every single time we see a street light out?
Well, if you do see a street light out, you should call it in.
I understand that, but again, do we have to do that? They don't have that program any longer?
We have people on a 24-hour basis. They're on for emergencies, and when they're not involved in an emergency, they are riding around the communities. They have communities to cover, and they pretty much stay on the main streets. I can't say that they hit every side street and so forth. So we always encourage the city residents, if you do see a street light out, you can call it in, you can go online.
Can you give me that number for the light out, please, the street light?
Well, the regular customer service number will get you. It's 1-800.
Yeah.
322.
Yep.
3223.
3223. Okay.
There's an option on there.
Because I get several inquiries in reference to street lights out, but I always had the mindset that, on Revere Street, for God's sakes, someone should see it out, and it should be reported in. And there's that one pole in front of that old Castello's Bakery. There's a convenience store there now, adjacent, right across the street from Bates Street. Now that light flickers in, off, and it also is a crazy double pole where the pole is halfway torn in between. And I don't have a particular pole number, but it's right in front of the convenience store on Broadway, adjacent to Bates Street, B-A-T-E-S. That's all I have.
Is it Broadway or Beach Street?
Revere Street.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
And Council Penta.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be very brief. Dan, I don't know, you probably know I'm going to ask you about this light again on Winthrop Ave. The one down by 1048 address. That's not fixed. No. I don't know. It's been months.
Unless it's that's a DCR roadway, correct?
It's right in the corner. It's actually on Winthrop Ave. It's an intersection. It's 4 roads there. That's why I'm saying it's very, very important. That one should have got fixed. It's been a while. I think part of it was my fault. I gave you the wrong number first, but it's still not on. So if you can check that out.
Okay.
And the other one is you dug up on Winthrop Ave, near Elm Street, the corner, where when the CDM did their project down there at the water and sewer and stuff. The trench, it's like this, and every car going over it, I'm getting calls on it, taking the right going on Elm Street or even off it. They're bouncing and doing damage to their car. So I don't know if they can. I mean, you got a gap this thick on, it's in the gutter, but when it crosses that street at Elm Street, people are.
It's a gas trench.
Yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
It was Elm and
Winthrop Ave.
Okay.
And one other one is a double pole on Brad Street and Sale Street. It's been there for years. I don't know why that one got by the books, but I drive by it every day, and it's still there. Yeah, Mr. Kelly probably drives by it, too, quite a bit. So those are mine, and I hope next time you hear that those are rectified. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Council Penta. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Gentlemen, I want to thank Dan for his residents meeting me a couple times since we met last on the street and talk about some of our issues, and we hope to get those resolved. But I do have a couple things aside of double poles. Number one, on streetlights, and I can advise everybody, they can go online also on nationalgrid.com, I believe, to report.
National Grid, all one word.
So to report streetlights, I do it quite a bit myself, and it takes a little longer as far as them writing the order, but it does get on the system to get done. I want to ask you a question about conversion of streetlights. Is there any kind of proposal or look-see to convert the current streetlights to LED or something low voltage? Or because when I go into Boston, I see these flat heads, and they're not the Cobras. So I was just wondering if those were part of an LED program or.
Yeah, the way it works right now is the only rate that we have that's available for LED is for those communities that have actually purchased the streetlights. As you know, there are some communities that purchase the streetlights, and then they're free to do what they want. There is a rate on our system, for LED streetlights. We have to get the manufacturer, the wattage, and all that, because they all vary. As far as company-owned streetlights, we're in the process of working with the DPU, our regulators, to get a rate. It's a little difficult because we buy a certain size, streetlight. We have, as you know, we have 50 watt, we have 100 watt, 250, and 400. In the LED family, there are a lot more choices. So it's trying to narrow down exactly what type of light we would purchase, what would be available for the community, and that would be priced accordingly. So we're in the process of working with our regulators. I don't see that happening for at least another year, that whole approval process.
Yeah, I was just curious because I did see it last week when I was on the highway, and so it just came to my mind about what's in it for us or whatever we could potentially do. But that's very interesting. The only individual location I believe I'm looking at for you is that 33 Curtis Road that we talked about with that gas leak.
Okay.
I did talk to some of your workers, excuse me, and they told me that there's water getting in the line. Now, there is a leak up on Elliott Road, but if there's a leak up there, and how would the water be getting in the line if there wasn't a break in somewhere in the gas line?
Yeah.
So if they can look at that, and also when they go back to Curtis Road, if they can redo that trench, they've dug it so many times, it's pretty wacky.
It needs to be done again?
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as Stan is concerned, that survey you were talking about, you surveying every telephone pole or a light pole?
We'll be looking at every street, every pole, so that there's accuracy within the database. And there may be some upgrades to the database in terms of what you can do with the information and what's available in new technology. So we're looking at first overall survey in terms of the poll and the population in the database, and also looking at perhaps a new vendor which would bring added kind of highlights to a database so that we can make it a little bit more user-friendly.
I know some of my colleagues have mentioned about when a poll was put in and how long it's been actually in there. Will that show on this particular
I would think so. It
database?
depends on what vendor is selected, but we've heard that comment over and over again, and being able to have transparency from the community is very important, but also understanding that the entry of data has to be accurate and has to be on a secured basis remains a paramount issue in any vendor that's selected by the utilities.
And I understand that, and I appreciate that. I'll go to Mr. Kelly. I know you told us we have how many polls from Comcast to be done?
We have 20 polls ball in court, which, as I said to you earlier, it's usually a good story, meaning that the process is working and they're getting to us. And, we take double poles seriously in the city of Revere, and we'll tackle those as soon as possible.
Because I know that the one at 487 Beach Street, where we just had that thing, that's one, I know it probably just got on your ballpark, your court. I really would like to see that one gone. It's been going like that for about 5 years.
Sure.
So, that's one, and I believe it is in yours. And then we have those other ones that are empty. I think that pole 48 on the Revere Beach Parkway was one, and then that pole 392 on Beach Street at Ocean Ave. So if we can at least get those done, by the next time we meet, I'd appreciate it very much. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. Councilor Reardon?
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe I may have missed something very important. Stan, did you mention that in the fall we're planning on having a much more useful delineation of what's going on here poll-wise? Is that?
What we'll be doing is a survey that will be put into the current database, but at some point within the next year, there would be more than likely a new database provider, and we're looking at a more enhanced kind of system.
Well, that's excellent news. So specifically, though, I would like to discuss VZ 900. That is on Fernwood Avenue. And that apparently has been locked in cement, that double pole, since the establishment of Walgreens, because the sidewalk, I believe, was done when Walgreens was put in there, and that pole was a double pole at the time, but for some reason they decided to cement it in there, and I'm guessing that's one of the reasons that it hasn't come out of there at this point. Is that an accurate guess?
I don't know. It is in our ball and court, so I'll have our crew take a look at it.
They're going to have to come down with an excavator because it has to be dug out of there. It's literally cemented into the new sidewalk, and the sidewalk's going to have to be repaired. But it's been brought to my attention by a couple of the neighbors down there, and it obviously has been there for, I don't know, how long has Walgreens been around? 14 years, 15 years? Yeah. So I'd appreciate looking into that, and I can't wait to find, till we start getting some more easily understood data from the new provider. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Reardon. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dan, I've had this issue for 6 months and beyond. It's on Conant Street from Malden Street to Fenley. All right. When they originally did it all the way, okay, it's basically all torn apart at this point in time. It seems like the trench sunk to some extent. We never repaired it, and it just deteriorated more and more.
So they've been repairing it, but...
Yeah, it's not. Could you have it checked out?
Would you think the whole thing needs to be done over?
Well, not the whole thing, but the section that you did, yes. Okay. I'd rather have you take a look at it, okay, and then see what you think.
Okay.
All right? Conan, yeah.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Stan, this question is directed, this comment is directed to yourself. 110 Oak Island Street, a fellow called me from that residence complaining that there is a telephone pole, utility pole, right in the middle of his driveway. And if it's not in the middle, it's pretty darn close. So I wonder if you could have your engineers go out there and take a look at that.
It's 110 Oak Island Road?
Oak Island Street.
Street.
Yeah. And they are in the process of replacing a pole down there adjacent to that address. So maybe this is something that they could, do all at once when they do the transfers.
You're looking for the pole to be
relocated out of his driveway.
It wouldn't be done by the transfer team. It's a completely different team.
Okay. Well,
but I'll have someone take a look at it.
Yeah.
Is there an easement on this? Do we
I'm
know?
not sure. I'm not sure.
We'll check into the easement first, because if it is...
it's a problem, I know.
If there is an easement, then we'll be dealing directly with the property owner.
Okay. And Dan, I have two concerns for yourself. One is a pole, and I guess the glass is broken on the light, and there are birds nesting in there, and the light is very, very dim. It's pole number 2601 on Woodland Road in the Oak Island section. I wonder if they could go out and take a look at that and replace the globe if necessary.
2601 on Woodland Road.
Correct.
Okay.
And the other issue I have, and Councilor Penta brought that up earlier, there's a trench at the intersection of Winthrop Avenue and Elm Street, and it's a National Grid trench. And it's been there, I've known about it for probably 5 or 6 weeks anyway. And cars coming out of there, there's like a 3-inch dip in the road. And I've always been of the opinion that whenever any of these trenches are opened, before they're backfilled, they should be compacted properly with the proper fill going in, and then subsequently at some point sealed at the opening so that the condensation doesn't get in there and cause them to heave. I wonder if you could have the National Grid crew or whoever the contractor may be that's responsible for that particular trench go out and take a look at it and make an effort to correct it.
Yeah, this is the same one?
The same one.
Yeah, 5 to yeah. We're
Elm Street and Winthrop Avenue.
absolutely, and we're required just to
Yeah, so
follow up on that.
whoever the contractor is, they're not, I know you use private contractors, but they're not doing their job adequately.
I know you guys, a lot of you brought that up at the last meeting. I was here, and we brought that back. But we are required by our regulators to keep track of every trench for at least 2 years.
Yeah, I mean,
So
suitable
30,
fill,
60.
compacted, and then
We'll
sealed.
take care of that.
Thank you.
Probably
very
has to be done a little bit.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Any other members of the council wishing to speak?
If I could indulge the
Councilor
chair
Randon.
thank you, Mr. Vice President. I neglected to mention to Dan Cameron, and I think following up on something that you suggested, credit is deserved, and we should give it where it's due. The quick action of National Grid in moving the electrical wires down by the school was quite impressive, and I have to say that as I get involved in this construction process, I'm getting an education. I always knew that time was money, but I'm starting to learn that time in the construction business is a lot of money, and I would be willing to say that you saved us a lot of money and a lot of time as well by your quick action moving those wires, and it's greatly appreciated. I want you to know that. Thank you.
We can't take all the credit. It was a partnership with the Verizon as well. So.
You always know that Stan had a hand in it. That's
All
for
right,
sure.
Stan, he actually took all the credit. They took all the credit before you got up there. Now it's going back to you, but thank you anyway.
Gentlemen, again, thank you for attending our meetings and providing such a good effort to our community. And it helps us do our responsibility and make sure that our city's a little better than it was yesterday. So thank you for your attendance. See you next month. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Calendar item number 3, report of the appointment subcommittee.
Earlier this afternoon, the appointment subcommittee met, and we had just one person in attendance, Tarati Construction, Inc., who was voted out favorably. I ask that the council vote favorably on it this evening.
Shall the City Council confirm the appointment of Terratech Construction, Inc. as a licensed drain layer? Councilor Rigo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso? Yes. Councilor Haas? Yes. Councilor Morabito? Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch? Yes. Councilor Penta?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Reardon?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes, the appointment has been confirmed. In accordance with the provisions of Rule 23 of the City Council Rules of Order, the following motions or communications are being reported out of committee with a recommendation to be placed on file. Calendar item number 4, motion of Councilor Novoselsky relative to DCR traffic signage.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I was kind of disappointed this hasn't been taken up in this length of time. And I don't feel this is a major issue, but I would ask that the council take a vote on it tonight and make a decision. I hope they would vote it favorably. It's a traffic condition that we have down in my neighborhood and also Council Penta's neighborhood at North Shore Road and Tomasello Drive. So I think it's important that we do this and see if DCR can correct an issue for people coming out of North Shore Road onto Revere Beach Parkway. Thank you.
Okay, so what's the exact nature of the original motion?
Exact nature, sir, is, if I may, is just to install a right lane, right turn only. It's already marked on the street as a right turn only. There's a marking, a white arrow already on in that lane. And it's made, it was made to do right, but there's no signage indicating that they have to abide by that.
So we're looking for DCR to put up a sign.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. On that motion, all in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 5, communication from the mayor relative to the reappointments of Kathleen Heiser to the Cultural Council and Robert Wolfgang and Rose Napolitano to the Historical Commission.
Appointments.
Calendar item number 6, communication from the Election Commissioner relative to the state primary warrant for September 9th, 2014.
Placed on file.
Calendar item number 7, communication from the mayor requesting a transfer in the amount of $29,166 to fund the appeal of the revised FEMA preliminary flood insurance rate maps.
I think the chief was, Chief, you want to talk on the flood maps? Before he gets to the podium, I just want to say I spoke to the mayor. He couldn't be here tonight because there was an emergency school committee meeting that was held tonight, and so the conflict, he couldn't be here, and he ran these things by me, but we have capable people here to speak on all of the issues, and I'm sure no one's going to have a problem with any of these transfers. Chief Doherty.
I apologize for my dress. I didn't expect to be here tonight. I know. It's still a little pukey white, but I'm working on that. And I had expected to work on it today, but I guess you would say Frank Stringy lost the toss, and he was supposed to be here tonight, but was unable to get here. And I'm here. We have joined in a consortium relative to the FEMA flood maps, if you are aware that FEMA has come out with a new method of how they're going to determine the floodplain for around the country. And we're here tonight with the CFO and the auditor to request money that this consortium that Revere is in, we joined together with Chelsea and Winthrop back in November of 13. And our first meeting with the mayor, we met with Congresswoman Clark to stress what we thought was the importance of getting help federally on this, because these new floodplain maps that they're going to do, and I won't bore you with all the new acronyms that they've come out from FIRM to risk map to all these other things, but what it in effect it does is they're really going to croak the city. They've decided to make areas that have never been flooded a flood area, and people will be required to have flood insurance. Their flood insurance rates are going to go up drastically, and we feel that the modeling that they did, the company that they hired, this company Star, the federal government hired, based their modeling on most of the floods that have occurred other than here. We're a storm surge type flood area where we have outlets for the floodwaters, and they've based it on the hits that they've taken going back with Katrina and Mississippi and Louisiana and things like that. So they're looking to, build back up that the flood insurance policy monies. So everybody's going to get hit with increases over the next few years, some drastic increases. So we joined together with Revere Chelsea, and then Boston has since come in. So it's the 4 communities of Suffolk County. And this consortium, we, along with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, we brought them in to give us initial consultation, and it was their recommendation based on research that they did that we should hire our own consultant to do our own modeling and counter what the government has done and go through an appeal process. So the appeal is, date is this August. We've gone through all the different steps. We hired this firm based on the fact that I'm here to ask for the money. And Chelsea has already agreed to it, Winthrop has agreed, and they're both funded. Boston's doing their own funding, and we're here today to request your body to help us out with this funding. It's a considerable amount, but for the community itself, it'll mean a lot if we can save the citizens and the ratepayers some money and change some of the areas. For instance, they made the whole Revere High School area down off School Street all the way almost to Broadway, new floodplain. So we've never had flood down there. And then they actually we found a couple of places where they said it was going to be dry, and we've known they've had 4 feet of water. So it's part of the huge process of the government, and they don't pinpoint a lot of the stuff. It's just almost a generic formula they use, and so this is the process we have to go through, do our own modeling, get our consultants to defend us, and go forward with the appeal, and hopefully get it delayed. Congresswoman Clark, I believe, was part of some of the Congress that did get some of the implementation of the rates and things put off through 2015 or even further. So we're hoping that holds out, and then with us doing our own modeling, along with Chelsea and Winthrop and Boston as well. So it kind of adds into it. The rates that we're going to pay on this is based on the transects that we have within the city, how many we have, and the amount of people that are currently in the population for floodplain. Chelsea is a couple of thousand less than what we've been told that our end is, and Winthrop is right up on where we are. They have the whole town is almost under a floodplain now. So with that, we're asking for 29. Do you have the amount? Okay. Oh, so I don't have to. All right. So as I said, we have the CFO with us. We did meet with we had a meeting last week with the CFO and the auditor, myself and Frank Stringy, and explained to this consortium that we have that we've joined, and we think it's the best avenue for the city to fight these dictates of the FEMA for these flood maps.
Thanks, Chief. I'm sure some of my colleagues might have some questions. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief, welcome no matter how you're dressed.
Thank you.
We just enjoy seeing your pleasant face. But I knew you answered one of my questions that I had about the delay of the 2 years, which happened late last year, and 2015 is correct. And I did attend that FEMA meeting down at the police station.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting. And some of the lines that they drew just in my ward brought them back to North Shore Road. Yeah. And there wouldn't be flooding there unless, they had one of those ice age things go and then let go and melt all at once.
Even the elevations, they've raised the elevations that are putting people into it that are high enough that it shouldn't even have.
It was ridiculous.
Right.
And, I have no problem with this. I think we should do it, protect ourselves, and, I think it's a good move on our part and actually tie in with the other cities, in that consortium. So
we hope. I know Senator Warren also was on the other side, obviously in Congress, that she was leading the charge too to get this delayed and put off as much as possible. The consultant firm that we hired, or we plan on hiring if your body so approves, is out of Woods Hole. We reviewed 3 different companies, one from Byfield, one from Mashpee, and one from Woods Hole. And with MAPC and with their references and the communities that they're already serving, they're serving Duxbury, Hingham, and Mass DOT. So we feel that, Duxbury and Hingham, those communities are really getting croaked. I mean, their flood insurance is going up anywhere from people that are normally paying $2,000 are going to pay $20,000. So they're fighting a tooth and nail as well.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's funny, we're spending money left and right here with the degree from the federal government.
Yes.
$50 million, here it is. Taxpayers have to pick up this amount of money. I think it's somewhat appalling for an older community to really have to go through this. But again, we have to protect our citizens without question. As Councilor Novoselsky indicated, and I'm sure when more people get involved with it, and they're going to find out most Revere, except for the hills, will be under this.
Yes.
Okay? The money that we spent in the Rogan's Point, all right? Now think of it. We spent $10 million, right? The federal government funded X amount of dollars. We put a small portion up.
They won't
Right.
even consider that. We tried
I
to explain
understand
that.
that, right.
We said to them, since the addition of the wall and the gate and all that work
Right.
that they did fund, and we've had, no flooding in that area to
Right.
speak of.
We've had some good storms, too.
Yeah, no question. All the 500-year storms, they're every other year now.
Right.
But we've had so many less claims on flooding based on that project when you were mayor, and the some of the other work that's been done with the pumping stations and the tidal gates, all that.
Right.
We've done so much. That's why this company's kind of going to sell it for us too, as well.
Right. I think this appropriation is well worth it because if it's not appropriated and the citizens get their insurance bills, it could be devastating.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct.
Councilor Guanasso.
Oh, my word. Thank you, Mr. President. Well, it seems to me like every few years, Chief, the federal government sees me fit to lay some sort of financial burden on our community. And those are what we have to live with. We all know this is completely unjustified, as you laid it out pretty well. And when people secure this flood insurance policy that they charge an arm and a leg for, you have to have an act of God almost to collect anything.
Yes.
So I don't understand. All it to me is they're building up a foundation of money, and they're not going to spend any money in our community. So I think that this is putting good money after good, to protect good money, and I think it's if we can get in this reasonable and work with the Woods Hole group to certainly prevent any financial problem that's going to create for our residents. Let's do it. We have no choice but to do this.
They're trying to spread the pain of what the costs that they've incurred down in the south.
And we
throughout
share
the
it
whole
enough.
country. Right.
We share it enough. We clean the ocean that everybody else is using. We've done everything. We've cleaned the water that everybody else uses. They put a court decree on us that is absolutely cost binding. What else can they do to damage our city? I have no idea. And I think that weighs heavily upon us to wake up our federal delegation and say, hey, look, we're getting croaked here. We're getting buried by governments that you're supposedly in place to protect us from. So I place the burden of this also on our federal representatives to help us with this because it's so unjust.
We did stress that at the meeting in the mayor's office. So
yeah, we got to more than we got to show them. We just financially can't afford any more burden that they place upon us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Guanasso. Councilor Morabito.
Thank you, Mr. President. Out of the $29,166 that is, if it's transferred, will that be distributed in one large sum? Will that just be an initial payment? Will there be more?
Right now, it's broken down in increments.
Okay.
I think that with the three communities going in, I think the first payment amongst the three of us is like $14,000 to do a certain portion of the contract that we're going to have with the Woods Hole.
Very cheap.
I have this.
Very cheap.
I have the rates broken down here. I can email that to you, but
please.
If I could find it quickly.
We have it. It's part of the document.
Thank you.
6,000 and 1,000.
Okay. The first baseline evaluation is $4,672. on our end. And then the next payment is $5,600. So for the first task one, they call it scope of services, is $10,272. And then when we do the actual hazard modeling and remapping, that's the $18,000 of our end, which will be a total of $29,166.
Okay.
So it is broken down in different phases of the work that we have on our RFP with them that we need to do, and that's how they're.
Now, will more money need to be transferred later on in the year or next fiscal year?
We haven't been told that, or there hasn't been a hint of that. We're hoping, based on what this company has done for some of the other communities, that this would be adequate. So I can't say no definitively.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Council Morabito. Council Penta.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple of the previous speakers basically took some words that I was going to say. I mean, when the rock ventment was done down in the Rogan's Point area, FEMA actually, under their, with the Army Corps of Engineers and FEMA, they were supposed to lift a lot of the floodplain zone in that area. And I think this is actually a great thing you're doing for the taxpayers of the city, because I tell you, what I read about this floodplain zone and across the whole country, people can just leave their homes. They're not going to be able to afford this.
Yeah.
I mean, with the federal government shoving down our throat. So it's great being proactive on this, to have some, data that you can present to them. In other words, we've had 50-year storms that haven't got a drop down in the Beachmont area.
Right.
We get more with the rain than we do with the overflow of the ocean water.
Absurd, yeah.
So I think it's a great thing, because we have a lot of things that, to present to them, that we've taken precautions on a lot of stuff, like you mentioned, the pumping stations. And it seems like every time the federal government or federal judge or somebody gets involved, we're paying for the water. 43 communities are paying for the water to the whole state for the MWRA. I mean, the whole ocean we're paying to clean up. But it seems like we always get the short end. But I think this is great, having a lot of data, a lot of information that we can present to them and state our case why a lot of these areas shouldn't be in a floodplain zone.
Right.
I know I live in the highest point in Beachmont, and I got to pay hazard insurance because I'm so many feet near the water.
Right.
I mean, a typhoon could hit, not going to reach my house.
The high end of Endicott Ave, that's actually, that's 75 feet above the mean high tide mark, and they were telling people they had to buy flood insurance up there. And you had to go through a whole process of appealing it and doing all. I mean, you got to be kidding. It's like.
Well, I remember one time before the rock went, they were buying everybody's home down there. You know what that would have
Yeah.
cost? They were buying people out that didn't really want to get bought out. But I mean, how do you just keep in that rock family probably paid for itself 3 times over with the money we'd save with the Army Corps of Engineers and everybody else going down.
Your flood insurance covers nothing nowadays.
But I think it's a great thing. I think it's minimum money, I mean, compared to what this could cost the city. And hopefully it does save us some money. But with that being said, I have no problem with the transfer, Mr. President.
Thank you, Council Penta. Council Janino.
Thank you. This is something where I absolutely think it's the case that we have to spend money so that the residents can save money, because almost every single part of our community is going to be affected by this. The new maps basically state that anything even near any sort of water, the county ditches, the ocean, and we're an ocean community, is going to be affected by this. And it will cost the city millions for the taxpayers if they have to add to their insurance. And it's absolutely insane. I know the surrounding communities are taking a hit from it too. Lynn, Saugus, Winthrop, as the chief stated. It's really, really hard on this community. And I think that if we can spend some money to fight this and have some of our residents save money, it's absolutely worth every cent, because people aren't going to be able to live in Revere anymore between our water and sewer rates, and if our insurance goes up, our car insurance is always crazy. You won't be able to afford it. A small one-family home would be completely outrageous. So I hope that we can prevent this so we can remain an affordable community that you can actually raise a family in and use all the great things that we have here, like our school systems that we brag about. So I hope this works out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Janino. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief, I think this is an excellent expenditure. As you well know, a couple of years ago, we spent about $900,000 down on Arcadia, New York, and Argyle Streets, an area that was constantly getting flooded. I talked to residents down there, and there's nothing down there. If anything,
No, I don't. I mean,
it's great.
our storms, all the storms of late,
And that used to
been
be
okay.
that used to be inundated with
Yeah.
water and sewage. We did the pump station over down the Point of Pines. That was another $1 million. I know they made some improvements to the Rice Avenue pump station. And just last year, through the efforts of Frank Stringy, we were able to create an area out off of Gladys Street and North Shore Road for compensatory storage of floodwater. And if anybody that goes by there now, they see it, and originally they thought we were building homes there, but nothing could be further from the truth. But now it looks like a lake. It's reduced the phragmites down there tremendously. It's eliminated a lot of the problems with mosquitoes. It's eliminated, as you well know, the potential in that particular area for fires in the grass. So I think to spend $29,000 is a great expenditure if we can use that information to correct the burden of flood insurance in some of these areas that people have not only been burdened with in the past, but the rates are increasing dramatically. So I'm going to support this. I'd ask my colleagues to support it. I think it's a tremendous expenditure. It's a small expenditure if we can get the value from it that we expect. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Powers. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've been aware of this problem. I've been getting calls from people that already are paying the flood insurance in my ward, and how it was going to practically double in some the certain ones I've talked to, and we're glad that it was put off. Of course, I think it was put off because of the election that's coming up. Federal government probably said it's better because the taxpayer is going to get croaked, and they didn't probably want to have it before the take effect before the election. And again, here we go again with the taxpayers can only do so much. I mean, you can only pay for so much out of the taxes. It seems like no matter what do they say? It always runs downhill, and it's running down to the city government. And we take, and I don't think Washington really cares. I really don't. I'm getting very depressed with the way things are turning out here, and they just think we got a ton of money. The middle class and people are trying to raise a family, paying taxes. There's only so much you can pay with, as far as water bill, your taxes, your electric bill's up now, food's going up, everything's going up. So, and it's ridiculous. I saw the map in the flood. It's utterly ridiculous. And you know what? I am for this 100% because I don't want to see these people get hit again. Not only the ones that are already paying flood insurance, but the people that are in a rude awakening when they find out they're going to have to pay it. And, what do you think this is going to be successful? Do you think the federal government's going to listen to Revere and Boston and Chelsea and Winthrop?
Quite a hue and cry. I mean, and we're kind of preaching to the choir on our own congressional delegation, so that they're with us and all that. But it's in other parts of the country that they believe, some of the people within Congress that, don't give out aid, and we don't, until it hits their own district, obviously. And then they want to make sure that the government is recouping the money that we're putting out for aid. So the only way they can do that is by upping the rates for the insurance, the flood insurance policies. So until Congress sees that, that's what the government is for, to help out, and not just get money, no matter what you put out. You know, they wanted an equal, and government, you know that can't run like that. There has to be a
Well,
point where the government has to kick in.
We know that, but do they know that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why we're preaching to our own choir with our own congressional delegation.
Yes,
But there are people in other parts of the country that are saying, no, the flood insurance should be based on what we're spending for the losses down in Louisiana and Mississippi and all those places. They want to recoup that money before they give out aid to anywhere. They don't want to give out aid until it's their own district. Then all of a sudden they change their tunes.
Right.
And I'm getting on a...
But I don't want to get on. I don't want to get on a bandwagon either here.
all right.
But I tell you, it's getting frustrated because I'm getting frustrated because it seems no end. To just it's only so much we can pay, especially other than this job. I'm on a fixed income, and it's just I don't see much. I just want to know. How do they feel that? Do we have a chance to be successful here?
I want to be optimistic, yes.
Yeah.
And be asking if, we asking you for this money, we feel that the way we've been told from MAPC and the Woods Hole Group, and that they feel they have a good case that will counter what the government has put out. And with the help of the congressional delegation, hopefully that appeal that we're going to have based in August, we'll get something out of it.
Chief, I hope you're right. We're going to have a good.
We're
going to have a good case. Yeah, we're going to have a good case. But I really don't think anybody in Washington is listening. But that's my only personal opinion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. I'll just say that I had a long conversation with the mayor because he couldn't be here tonight, and this affects an astronomical amount of people that are going to get slaughtered, and we would be really fiscally irresponsible not to vote for this money tonight, because the people are going to get absolutely croaked if we are not able to make this change and make a case that a lot of these areas are not even in the floodplain, and they haven't been touched with water for years. So I'm going to call for a vote on this. You want to call for the roll? Madam Clerk.
Shall the City Council approve a transfer from the Stabilization Fund to the Planning and Community Development Contracted Services account in the amount of $29,166? Councilor Arrigo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas. Yes. Councilor Morabito.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Penta.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Reardon.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes, the transfer has been approved.
Okay, thank you. I'll I'll copy the councilors on as we get updates from, and I don't know if I mentioned the group, but it's in that, it's the Woods Hole group, obviously out of Woods Hole and Falmouth. And, but I'll keep you updated when I get their reports and then send it out to you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. President,
Councilor Penta.
can you give me a 1-minute personal privilege, please?
Go right ahead.
Thank you. I just want to go back 2 weeks ago. When I was chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, I made a couple of statements towards our financial team, the city auditors especially, that I was mistaken there. Everything I said about CDM, I will keep word for word. City auditor was not asked for information, I thought she was, from CDM. They were just after their invoices when they sat there, because he said he stood here and said I sat there 4 or 5 times this week going over some numbers and stuff, and it's not true. And I owe the auditor an apology, and I want to do that publicly. All right, I apologize for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Penta. I'm sure it's appreciated by our auditor. Madam Clerk.
Calendar item number 8, communication from the mayor relative to amendments of the Wonderland TOD legislation.
I think we're going to hear from Paul Rupp on this. Again, I spoke at length to the mayor on this issue. What it is when we originally wrote this legislation with the DCR, there are some provisions in here that are kind of onerous towards us. And there are some provisions where some of the funding will have to go to the general fund. If there's leftover funding, some of the funding will have to go to the general fund. This gives us a lot more control over that money. So this is kind of, I'm summing this up that it's good for us, and it's a fair thing even for the state. So now I'll let the capable Paul Rupp take over.
Mr. Just touch it once. All right. Yeah, in 2011, with the request of the City Council and the Mayor, the legislature passed special legislation, Chapter 183, that allows proceeds from the sale of the lots on Ocean Avenue in the Waterfront Square development to stay in the reservation to build a new DCR operations center, which is badly needed, and maintenance facility. The cost of that sort of in flux at the moment is probably at least $4 million, maybe more, by the time DCR gets done with its wish list. But we'd like to take that one step further. The total land sale proceeds will amount to about $7 million. We'd like to keep whatever is left in the reservation to carry out elements of the DCR master plan for the beach. That might mean sidewalks or park equipment or plantings or whatever. There are no shortage of uses there. We think that's fair. You remember the Commonwealth took this land from the city in the 1950s, and we've had nothing come out of it until now. So that's our objective. That's part A. Part B is to take the 99-year lease of the Parcel H land adjacent to Wonderland Station and convert that, rather than a lease, to an outright sale to a developer, hopefully of a hotel. I think that's going to facilitate that development moving forward. It's as simple as that.
Thank you very much for the explanation. You did a better job than I could have done. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Paul. As far as the original amount,
right,
that's going to go back to DCR for Revere Beach.
That's what we're, stay in the reservation.
Stay in the reservation.
Right.
Okay. The reservation includes from Revere Street down, or does it go to Cary Circle?
It's circle to circle.
Circle
the reservation.
to circle.
Yeah. So whatever, there's going to have to be consultation between the city and DCR.
Right.
Yeah.
More additional equipment, etc. Thank you.
Just let's not give it back.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. Councilor Penta.
Just a quick question to you to the speaker. Councilor Haas basically said it. So instead of just going to the general fund to the state, you're looking at the staying reservations. But the second part of the hotel, 99-year lease, you're looking to acquire that off the state, the DCR.
No, that's actually MBTA. But the lease would be converted into a value for an outright sale, and then developer could pay that price to the MBTA and own it outright.
Okay, so the developer would pay the...
That's right, not the city.
Yeah. But just to get back to the project itself, I thought that there had to be at least 100-room hotel built on that site.
Yeah.
And I thought it was actually supposed to be the first thing developed there, but that hasn't happened. So with that being said, you'd probably get more interest in the hotel, but I mean, unfortunately, what if a hotel, isn't that breaking the agreement with Aerovest, breaking their agreement, they don't put a hotel there?
If a hotel does not go there.
Correct.
Yeah, that it would be in violation of the agreement at a point in time.
Okay, I'm just curious how to, I mean, we're changing the game in the middle of it, and I can understand the 2 million, of course you want to stay in Revere. I'm all for that, but as far as the development with the hotel, that's not going to, if we pass this, that's not going to change Eurovest's commitment to the city of Revere, would
No,
it?
it means that technically the lease is from the MBTA to the city and then subleased to a developer. It means that the city has the authority to convert that into an outright purchase, and it should be an easier transaction.
Oh, I understand all that. Yeah. Here's the catch-22 I see, is if we do apply this to try to recover it or some hotel buy it, does it Eurovest now is not obligated to put a hotel there, is that correct?
Oh, no, they are.
They still are?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Councilor Reardon.
Just to follow up on that point, it seems from what I've read from the mayor's introductory letter and the brief and the actual legislation, purpose of this is to facilitate the discovery, so to speak, of a hotel operator would be more likely to invest in this thing if he knew he was going to own the air rights as opposed to leasing them for 99 years.
That's correct.
Is that accurate? Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anybody else? Okay, on the Council Powers?
Thank you, Mr. President. Paul, while we're on the subject of a hotel there, when, under the present agreement, when does that hotel have to be constructed and operational?
It's supposed to begin construction by December of this year.
By December of this year, in the ground?
But Eurovest is asking for an extension.
What type of an extension?
I believe we're talking 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, this has been going on for so long now. It's.
However, the second residential project is getting closer to a reality. So, maybe the massing of that creates some.
And that's great, but I'm interested in the commercial development, and I'm sure the mayor is also.
I
would hope
understand.
so.
So am I.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Powers. Okay, now the clerk will read into the record the proposed change.
That the city direct the state legislative delegation from the city of Revere to file legislation substantially in the form attached hereto as Exhibit A, an act concerning the conveyance of certain parcels of land in the city of Revere, seeking the General Court of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to authorize the use of the proceeds from the sale of the North Lot and the DCR maintenance lot not needed for the design and construction of a replacement DCR maintenance facility for city's costs, including costs of required professional services relating to the purchase and sale of the North Lot and the DCR maintenance lot, other public improvements to the Revere Beach Reservation, other public improvements in connection with the transit-oriented development at Revere Beach, and the promotion of the city's master plan for the transit-oriented development at Revere Beach, and to approve the conveyance of said parcel H to the city of Revere for the capital value of the air rights lease, and further voted that His Honor the Mayor be authorized for and on behalf of the city and in its name to take action as he shall deem necessary or desirable to give effect to or otherwise carry out the purposes of the foregoing vote. Councilor Rigo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hess.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Penta.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Reardon.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes. The special legislation will be forwarded to the state delegation. Calendar item number 9, communication from the mayor relative to fiscal year 2014 final year end of year transfer requests.
Mr. Anzoni. And? No? Okay.
These are requests that
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, shall I start again? Try that again. Okay, so what we're doing, yes. Into it. All right. All right, so there we go. Oh, great. Not yet. We will. Okay. Do you have the money for it? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Push that purchase order through for us.
We'll work on it. Okay, so what these requests are, they're transfers so that at the end of the fiscal year, all accounts are in balance. As simple as that. And there's reasons on here that have been delineated why there are needs for these amount of transfers, and why there's also in here listed why there would be surpluses in the various accounts. So we're looking to do this to clean up our balance sheet and make certain that the balance sheet at the end of the year does not show any deficits in any of the accounts. If there are specific questions, I'll answer those, but it's clear and as quick as that.
Any questions of the council? It's routine. Okay. On the transfers.
Shall the City Council approve the end of fiscal year 2014 transfers to cover deficits from appropriated accounts with surplus balances as described in the City Auditor's verification of funds? Councilor Arrigo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas? Yes. Councilor Morbido? Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Penta?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Reardon?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. The transfers have been approved.
Thank you.
Calendar item number 10, communication from Edward Stukels relative to 21 Ellerton Street.
Mr. President,
Councilor Haas.
this has been before us before. Can't the city do something about this situation? Does anyone have any comment?
Well, I mean, I'm inclined to send it to committee if there's something here, but I was under the assumption that this has been litigated, and has it, or am I misunderstanding? Let me ask the clerk.
Point of information, my understanding from reading through Mr. Stukelis' information that he's reluctant to hire an attorney to litigate this. And we've stated to him on many an occasion that this was a private matter between him and his neighbor, and he keeps believing that the city engineer, the city building inspector, the health inspectors are derelict in their duty. The police, this matter needs to be referred to the administration to be addressed. Yeah. I don't see what possible influence other than our political influence we have over this issue. We have no jurisdiction. It's as simple as that.
Okay, what's the will of the council here?
Placed on file.
File?
Placed on file.
Calendar item number 11, motion presented by Councilor Powers that the mayor requests Verizon to relocate the pole in front of 110 Oak Island Street in its present location.
We already did that.
Councilor Powers.
We did that earlier with the fellow from.
I was out of the room. Can I just ask a question on it?
Sure, certainly. The situation is there's a pole in the middle of the driveway. The question came up this evening from Verizon and our National Grid whether or not there was an easement granted some time ago to have that pole located there. And they assured me they were going to look into that to find out if there was an easement. Even if there was an easement, they may at this point be able to effect some way to relocate that pole for the resident down there, because it is more or less right in his driveway, and it should be relocated some way or another. Thank you, Mr. President.
I guess that my only concern was who would pay for that, because moving a pole is usually, 10 grand or something like that.
That would be up to them. It's their pole.
More money? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, as long as we hear about it before it happens, and certainly don't want to spend taxpayers' money to do it. Thank you.
Calendar item number 12, motion presented by Councilor Morbido that the mayor request Raymond Foucher of the DCR to repair the broken lights on pole numbers 22, 44, and 45 on Revere Beach Boulevard.
Councilor Morbido.
Mr. President, the motion speaks for itself.
I thank you very much, sir. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed. So,
Calendar item number 13, motion presented by Councilor Novoselsky that the mayor request National Grid to install a floodlight facing the American Legion building on pole number 505-2534J on Hyde Street across from City Hall.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Motion speaks for itself, Mr. President.
On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted.
Mr. President,
Councilor Haas.
point of personal privilege.
State your point, sir.
As we drive around our community, we're seeing boxes popping up overnight. Boxes for clothing, books, and everything else. Now, damn it, I'm in Melrose, and I don't see these boxes. I understand the need, but for these companies to just come into Revere and just stick them anywhere, that's unheard of. And I don't know what authority we have to the DPW, Police Department, to have them get rid of them.
I guess I would ask, are they on private property or are they on public property? If they're on public property, we can have them removed.
Well, I don't know if they are. There's some that are in some...
Are they permitted?
No, they're like the cardboard ones they affixed.
Oh, they're cardboard books?
Yeah, and I'm not talking about the flags or anything else, okay?
I understand.
That's a great need. But the other boxes that have arisen have really made the city look a little trashy, I believe.
Well, I think we should talk to the building inspector and the health department and see what our status is with them. And get them removed.
Some have no names on them.
Well, we'll find out who owns them.
Okay.
Mr. President.
Councilor Penta.
I agree with Councilor Haas. There's one actually put in my ward. Pink one. It's out in the sidewalk. I talked to the building inspector today. I talked to Donnie Goodwin. They told me to rectify and take care of it. There was no permission. This thing just appeared. It's a big pink box. I've never got so many calls in a short period of time. It's outside of two businesses, and I actually called one of the owners of the property, and they're supposed to take care of it also. It's put out there to drop your clothes off, and unfortunately, people come into the city, they have to learn to live by our rules. They just think they have the right of way to do anything they want. And it was an eyesore, it was a nightmare, and very stressful situation for a lot of people going by there. But hopefully by the time I get out of here, it's gone. I mean, I was hoping that, so. But I'm well aware if that's the one you're talking about, Councilor Haas, because...
That's one of them. There's one in Ward 6,
Really?
and there's a number of them popping up overnight.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, one appeared in Joanne Jowler's driveway last night. I mean, that's...
Well, I did talk, like I said, I talked to the building department, I talked to the DPW director, and none of them have permitted any of those people, and they told me that they would have that removed. Thank you.
Great. Well, that solves that problem. Councilor Janino?
Thank you. I think that's a great point because I have also noticed several driving through the community. And the issue, too, is not just the boxes, but a lot of illegal dumping happens around them. So, even if it says for clothes only, they drop off TVs and appliances and things next to these boxes, which creates a bigger issue. And for anyone that wants to donate, I think that's fantastic. But there are plenty of places that we have. We have, our food pantries, and we have the Salvation Army, and lots of reputable ones that are in church parking lots and stuff like that. So if you do have things to donate, we have the resources in the city, so you can call City Hall and ask, or you can call us and ask. But I think that they should definitely have designated areas for them so that it just looks classier, because I agree with Councilor Penter that it does look very trashy, and Councilor Haas. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Janino. Madam Clerk.
The vote late motion presented by Councilor Zambudo that the mayor request the Water and Sewer Billing Department to begin issuing water and sewer bills to all nonprofit organizations in the city of Revere.
If I might, I put this motion in because I've received a lot of complaints from ratepayers that are tired of nonprofits getting a free ride. So that's what I did, and there it is. It's on the table. On the motion. Is there a cost associated with this motion to the council, to the taxpayers? I don't see one. I don't see a reason for it to go to Ways and Means. Well, on the motion. All in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Late communication from the Planning Board relative to its recommendation on the zoning map amendment request to Washington Ave by Wakefield Associates, Inc.
Placed on file, or it's attached to the special permit, is it? It should be attached to the special permit. Okay.
And late communication from the city clerk relative to unpaid Chapter 148 licenses for 2014.
We're going to order that to a public hearing? So voted. Council Patch?
Yeah, just I got a couple of points I have to make here before we adjourn. Tomorrow night I'm going to have Revere Recreation Department, myself are going to be running a Tuesday night neighborhood dinner and entertainment at the Whalen School baseball field, 107 Newhall Street. Everybody's invited. Please join us at the Whalen School baseball field for a barbecue dinner, entertainment with your family and neighbors. Enjoy Green Fairy storybook characters, meet and greet, music by Jim the DJ, face painting, moon bombs, games, arts and crafts, popcorn, cotton candy, balloons, and more. And I got one more. Volunteers.
Wait a minute, what time was that event, sir?
That attends at 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock on tomorrow night. The rain date is the 7/16. And also, I'm looking for volunteers. As you know, the playground at the corner of Newhall and Sergeant Street has been torn down, and they already got the money put forth. They got all the equipment to put up, but we need you to help build our new playground. So anybody, we're looking for volunteers age 18 and above. For further information, you can call Dimple Rayner, neighborhood organizer at Revere City Hall, 781-286-8172. We need some help to construct this playground. It's going to be great when it's done.
Do we have a build date on it?
Yes, it's going to be July 24th to the 27th. We're going to be building it.
Great.
Okay,
count me in.
That's all the commercials for tonight.
Okay, since we're on commercials, if no one else has anything, we have the National Sand Sculpting Festival this weekend, the biggest event for the city of Revere, one of our biggest attractions that attracts hundreds of thousands of people in national and international media. So I just want everybody to know that this wonderful event is upon us. And Celebrate Revere is on Sunday, as I'm told here. So we got a lot of great stuff. Council Janino, you have something? No? Okay. No further business.
Mr. President, just one quick thing on the Sing Sculpt.
Council Novoselsky.
Just to let everybody know that on Friday night, this Sand Sculpt event is honoring all our veterans. And just to let you know, Friday night at 7:45, we're having the opening ceremony. And all veterans in the city are invited to join the mayor on the platform, on the dais. And if for those that can't fit on that, we're going to have them right up in front. But we invite all our veterans to join us on Friday night. And then on Sunday at 5:45, I believe, at Celebrate Revere, all Revere employees of the city of Revere who are veterans are invited to join in the celebration of Revere on Sunday, on that day. So
Very
that's
good.
more advertisements.
Thank you very much. So now we've got all the business out of the way. There's no further business. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned until the 28th of July.